It's a new day in the workroom and guess what, girls? I have a damn win. I'm just over the moon because I think I finally set myself up as a front runner in this competition.
The queens walk into the workroom and all sit near the table. There's a pause of silence before Alice says that this is the sound of Katrina keeping her mouth shut for once, and everyone starts laughing.
It's honestly about time that beast of a drag queen left. I've been waiting for her elimination, and now that she's gone it definitely feels like the real competition has officially started.
The queens congratulate Forrest for his win, and he smiles before saying that he wanted to prove he's the one to watch to the judges. Salazzle smiles and says he definitely did that. Sylvester then turns to Salazzle and asks her how she feels about lip-syncing 3 times in one episode and only winning once.
Oh wow, that was a bold question. Very, very bold. And I'll be honest, it's kind of pissing me off because Sylvester has adopted a weird-ass personality since the Snatch game. Maybe he's just vying for screen time because his challenge performance until now has been subpar.
Salazzle frowns before saying that it wasn't fun and was honestly very tiring, but she didn't want to go home on a lip-sync challenge. Sylvester giggles before saying she almost did.
Can we just send Salazzle home? She's tired and walks down the runway in the same basic bodysuit with white eye contacts and huge boobs because she's spooky yet she never does well or poorly enough to be clocked on it.
Salazzle asks why Sylvester is being such a huge cunt, and everyone looks at her in shock. Sylvester says that he isn't being a cunt, he's just calling it how it is.
I'm honestly done with Sylvester. Fuck his drag and fuck him in general.
Salazzle says that he isn't calling shit and is being a crybaby because he's being outshined by almost everyone on the cast. Sylvester claps back that Salazzle has been outshined by everyone on the season period. But before the two can continue, Alice shouts at them to shut up. The room goes quiet and production quickly steps in to announce the mini challenge.
Oh girl, the queens are fighting. I'm living my full fantasy, and I do kinda think that Salazzle gagged Sylvester, but oh well.
Mithra won the mini challenge and will receive an advantage for the maxi challenge.
I won the mini challenge, which honestly makes me feel more confident about what's to come this week. I'm getting an advantage, so trust and believe that I'll use it somehow. Be a little shady, haha.
Hello queens. Now there are only 7 of you left, which is kind of sad, but this week we're really going to have our moment. Our Emmy moment. For your Maxi Challenge, you will be creating advertisements for different cartoon drag race seasons across all of the different franchises.
Oh, this is a gag. I actually auditioned for a handful of seasons, like Cartoon Drag Race Season 11. Thank God I downgraded to Holland though because I fear I would have been sniped, haha. Just kidding, I love it here, so please don't blacklist me from the All-Stars.
Now then Mithra, since you won this week's mini challenge, you'll be able to assign the seasons. The options are Cartoon Drag Race vs. the World, Cartoon Drag Race Toontown 2, Cartoon Drag Race Toon Madness 2, Cartoon Drag Race Philippines 1, Cartoon Drag Race Toon World 1, and Cartoon Drag Race France 2 and 3. Mithra, think about this carefully because it's a very important decision.
Oh my, I get to assign the seasons for this week's advert challenge. Honestly, this is a lot of power, and I'm very excited to use it to my advantage.
The queens gather around the table, and production hands Mithra a binder with all of the eligible seasons for the advert challenge. She asks if anyone wants to be assigned a specific season, and Salazzle says she wouldn't mind having France 3 or Toon World.
I'd honestly love to have France Season 3 since my drag mother Lavender was on the cast, and it's also a very campy season. Toon World is just very shady, so I think it could be fierce for the judges to see that side of me.
Mithra says that Salazzle can take France 3 since she didn't want it anyway. Mithra then says that she'll be taking Cartoon Drag Race vs. the World, and a few queens side-eye her, with Lemmy commenting that it's bold for her to take the most recent season. Mithra says that she doesn't really care and won't be giving the season to anyone else.
Okay, wow. Good for her, I guess. I would have preferred to have versus the world, but honestly give it up for Mithra, everybody. She's finally getting the Emmy moment she so desperately needed.
Sylvester asks if he can take Toon World, and Sheen Yen says that she also wants Toon World. Sylvester side-eyes Sheen Yen and says it would be smarter to give it to him since Mithra could make a lovely ally. Sheen Yen then stifles a laugh before saying that this isn't all stars and allies don't mean shit. Sylvester fires back and says that Sheen Yen will need to be on All Stars after she gets eliminated this week. Mithra smiles before saying that Sylvester can have Toon World and Xin Yan will do Toon Madness Season 2.
Xin Yan is boring and wouldn't be able to do Toon World justice. I wanted it simply because my good sister Tweety was on Season 1 and needs a redo after my Snatch game.
Instead of being bitter, I'll simply be better because 1. Sylvester already performed as Tweety and Tank, and 2. Well, actually I don't have a second reason.
Both Xin Yan and Sylvester side-eye each other, and Alice steps between the two and asks if she can have Toontown Season 2. Mithra says Alice can have Toontown, and Alice smiles and thanks her before focusing on calming the tension between Sylvester and Xin Yan.
I think an advertisement is the perfect opportunity for me to redeem my acting skills after I bottomed in the acting challenge. I know it was a long time ago, but it still haunts me. And now that Katarina isn't here to rub it in my face, I think this could be my challenge to win.
Mithra turns to Forrest and says she'll be giving him Philippines Season 1 because she wants to see how well he can portray his family and a few of the bigger personalities from that season.
Oh, so she wants to test me. I've really held my cards close to my chest for the majority of this season, but I think it's time to let them all out for everyone to see. It's time my sisters learn they shouldn't mess with me.
Lemmy says that he's the only queen left without a season, and Mithra giggles before saying he'll be getting France Season 2. Mithra then smirks and says she loved playing shady by assigning the seasons, but everyone around the table just gives her a confused look. Lemmy eventually winks and says that's the season he wanted anyway, and the queens each grab a notebook before splitting off to work on their advertisements.
Well, apparently Mithra tried to be shady, because giving girls their first or second choice is shady. What a waste of a mini challenge win.
Alice, Mithra, and Sylvester are sitting together working on their adverts, and Alice asks how they're coming along with their concepts. Sylvester says he thinks he's doing well, and Mithra asks if he's going to bring out the Tweety puppet again, which gets a small laugh from Alice and a glare from Sylvester.
Oh, so she wants to get into it now? Maybe Mithra will repeat her flop of the Snatch game performance.
Sylvester says his advert is going great and starts to share his ideas. After he's done, he asks how Mithra's is coming along. Mithra says that she's loving it so far and begins to tell the two about her concept. After a few minutes of listening, Alice and Sylvester share a concerned look with each other.
I know we're stuck in our hotel rooms, but girl, we have TVs. I've been catching up on Versus the World, but I don't think Mithra has because her entire idea is just the villain club. I have no notes.
Alice asks if Mithra has any ideas other than just focusing on the villain club. Mithra says she has some scenes she could do with the other queens on the season, and Alice says that's probably the best plan of action.
I'm sure my advert is going to be great. The major focus of Versus the World is the villain club because they're all very iconic, so I think I'll be able to pull it off.
Salazzle and Xin Yan are sitting together, and Xin Yan asks how Salazzle's advert is coming along. Salazzle smiles and says that she loves the season she was assigned because she gets to portray her new drag mother, Lovander. Xin Yan asks if Salazzle has any family back in Alola, and Salazzle says that she has a few friends and had an old drag mother who disowned her just before she left to go film. Xin Yan looks gagged and asks why she did that, but Salazzle says she still has no clue why.
My old drag mother was a girl named Plumeria. She is a part of Team Skull, and honestly, I'm happy I left because she had the audacity to think I wasn't ready for this show and disowned me when I was cast. We haven't spoken since, and I'm happy to keep it that way.
Salazzle asks if Xin Yan has any drag family in Leeway, but Xin Yan shakes her head and says she never really saw eye to eye with any of the queens back in her hometown. She adds that they didn't really understand her style, and Salazzle says she still doesn't understand it after seeing Xin Yan walk down the runway, which causes Xin Yan to laugh.
Honestly, I'm very happy to be here because I get to work with people who appreciate my drag. Salazzle is one of the few queens who actually understands my style, or at least I think she does, haha.
Lemmy and Forrest are sitting together and quietly focusing on the challenge. Eventually, Lemmy asks if Forrest has any ideas for his advert. Forrest smirks before saying that he has a few outfits ready for the queens he plans to portray. Lemmy asks if he could see them, and Forrest nods before turning to his workstation and grabbing them.
I'm a very visual girl. I mean, why else do you think I've been storming the runway this entire season? I know I didn't have to, but I made custom outfits for the queens I plan to portray in my advert. Haha.
Forrest lays a few things across the table, including a huge breastplate, wings, a Celestia-inspired wig, and a very ugly gown. Lemmy does a double take when he looks at the gown and asks if that's supposed to be for his Mafuyu Sato character. Forrest giggles before saying yes, and Lemmy immediately bursts into laughter, falling off the table.
I mean, there are a lot of people in the world who are very pretty, very kind, and very talented, but have the ugliest runways that you've ever seen. Sato just happens to be one of those people, I fear. Forrest kind of clocked.
Forrest asks Lemmy how he feels about Mithra trying to be shady. Lemmy starts laughing again and says if that was her being shady, then he'd love to see her being nice. He adds that she clearly doesn't know what shady means because, if anything, she was downright sunny. Forrest giggles and says that Lemmy is too shady for everyone else before walking off to get ready for the runway.
In your walk, head to toe, let your whole body talk. And what?
Welcome to the main stage of Cartoon Drag Race Holland. I'm your host, Stella, and this week I challenge my queens to sell us ads for different Cartoon Drag Race seasons. Now then, let's meet our judges. First up, Pave, what's your favorite season of Cartoon Drag Race?
I think I have to go with the season that I competed on and won.
That isn't narcissistic at all. And finally, our extra special guest judge from Cartoon Drag Race Toon Madness, Julie. Now, what's your favorite Cartoon Drag Race season?
I'll be honest, I have to agree with Pave. My favorite has to be the season one was on.
Damn, I thought you were going to say Holland won.
Oh, absolutely not. Don't try me with that garbage show.
Well anyway, with that out of the way, let the judging commence.
Alice Angel slayed the challenge.
Oh, my ad went perfectly. I think the judges were dying to watch Toontown 2 after it was over, and this really was the perfect chance to show off my acting and impersonation skills.
Forrest, Xinyen, Lemmy and Sylvester had a great performance.
I knew bringing out the Tweety puppet was smart, haha. I definitely think that I redeemed my Snatch Game performance, and yes, I know the judges ate my ad up.
I'll be honest, I had no clue that Julie was going to be on the fucking panel. So it was perfect that I served the Subterra bitch fantasy in my ad. I looked as good as her, and maybe if I bribe her enough, she'll help me get a top placement.
Salazzle had a good performance.
Although I think I did pretty good this week. Looking at Pave's reaction after filming, I can't help but feel a bit scared. I have a plan if I have to lip sync, but that's a very significant if.
Mithra had a bad performance.
I think I did great. I really sold the importance of the villain club in my ad, and I'll be totally honest, my Lola reads were next level.
For this week's runway, category is Gender Illusions.
Forrest slayed the runway.
For this runway, I walk out in a stunning ball gown meant for a queen. But the moment I get to the middle of the stage, I pull off the entire skirt and reveal a full-body, corseted tuxedo. In my opinion, I look really hot.
Sylvester, Salazzle, Mithra, and Alice had a great runway.
This week, I strut onto the runway fully unpadded. I've contoured my entire body to look like I'm extremely muscular, and the only thing I'm wearing is a corset and the longest wig that I could find to use as a huge S-train.
I decided to do a split look for this week's runway. I painted one half of my face as more feminine and one side more masculine. For my outfit, one half is a beautiful mermaid gown, and the other is a sickening pantsuit. While yes, it sounds basic, I swapped a few things around, like having a full beard on my feminine side and more extravagant makeup on my masculine side. I look sickening.
Lemmy and Xinyen had a bad runway.
I walk onto the runway dressed in my favorite frat boy outfit, wearing a t-shirt and shorts. And the gag is that I'm fully padded with the biggest breastplate and hip pads I could find. I'm the trashiest thing on the runway, and the judges better eat me up, or I'll make them.
Well, queens, it's time to announce your placements. If I call your name, please step forward. Lemmy Koopa and Xinyen, you are both safe.
Just one thing before you go, Xinyen. I fucking loved your ad. You really gave the Subterra bitch fantasy that I was looking for. Okay, you can go.
Oh wow, a full call out from Julie? I can't lie, that felt really validating despite the fact that I'm safe this week. Trust and believe, next week will be my episode.
Alright, let's start our critiques with Forrest. I'll go first. Now Forrest, this runway was fierce, like I was fully gagged. The looks you've brought this season are genuinely on another level, and honestly everything about you when you walk onto the stage is just captivating.
And your ad was definitely a highlight tonight. You had a lot of great moments in it. You had a very strong showing overall. Forrest, this was a great week for you.
I'll be honest, I was scared that my impersonations wouldn't land this week, so I was pretty nervous going into the challenge. But thankfully, the judges liked my ad and my runway performance. I'm not going to say I'm winning this week, but I wouldn't hate it hot.
Alright Mithra, you're next.
Mithra, this wasn't really my favorite advert. If anything, it was my least favorite of the week. Did you actually watch Versus the World? There were several talented queens on the season, and yet I only saw Lola, Nikolai, Sissy and him. Speaking of which, your Lola impersonation was, boring as hell. You need to have a casually vicious vibe about you to embody her spirit. And you missed the mark. Your reads felt dry and boring, and it was all just disappointing.
Now the ad, wasn't my favorite either. However, this runway was cute. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the week, but it does live up to what we've come to expect from you on the runway this season.
Oh, so apparently they didn't live for me in the challenge. That's, fine, I guess. I got positive critiques about my runway, so maybe that'll keep me from the bottom.
Next up, Alice Angel.
I'll be honest, I was kind of worried about you this week because you were in the bottom for the last acting challenge, which was crazy to me. However, you really ate up that advert. You had your characterization down, your ad was filled with jokes, and overall it felt like you just really let go and were embracing the camp of it all. I lived.
And honestly, this runway sent me. Girl, it's just so fun. I haven't been here to see all of your runways, but if you keep pulling out shit like this, then I think you could go all the way.
It felt so good to get those comments from the judges. I worked really hard this week, and while it's nice to hear that the judges lived for me, a win would make everything so much sweeter.
Next up, Sylvester. We usually expect you to serve in the comedy challenges, and although you've had a few stumbles recently, tonight you did not disappoint. Your ad was great, and I only have one critique. If you ever bring out that damn puppet again, I'm going to rip it off your hand and burn it. I mean it, don't try me.
And this runway? Oh honey, Miss Honey, I was gagged. You usually don't walk out in elaborate looks, but this was giving major cunt, which was really unique for you.
Well, call me Lana Yare because apparently this look is unique for me. I don't really know what Pave meant by that, but whatever. I genuinely think I could win tonight.
And finally, Salazzle.
Salazzle, this ad wasn't my favorite. It was kind of boring and a little safe, especially compared to the other queen who was assigned a cartoon Drag Race France season and, all shade, did way better than you. It just made you look bad by association.
I will say, most people will probably look at this outfit and say it's shit, but in all honesty, I think it's up there for the runways this week. It's just really unique, which might sound like a critique, but I do honestly like the look, and thank God, that wig is actually 30 human inches.
Oh, it isn't 30 inches.
It isn't?
For the record, it's more than 30 inches. Shit, I don't even know how many inches it is. My drag mother helped me make this crazy wig for a show once, and I decided to bring it here on a whim.
Now then, I've made some decisions. Alice Angel, congratulations, you're the winner of this week's challenge. Forrest and Sylvester, you're both safe.
This is definitely the most validating experience I've had in the competition so far. Alice is back in the game now, girls, and I plan to snag a few more wins before we're done.
I'm happy for Alice, but I can't help but feel a bit disappointed that I'm safe yet again. Oh well, there's always next week.
This unfortunately means that Mithra and Salazzle, I'm sorry my dears, but you are both up for elimination. This week, I challenge you to prepare a lip sync to 15 Minutes by Sabrina Carpenter, so good luck and don't fuck it up.
I lip synced 3 times last week but still earned a win. Mithra better put up a fight because I want to win and refuse to go home just yet.
Oh Stella, this lip sync song is perfect for me. Sorry Salazzle, you're about to get sent back to hell bitch.
Salazzle and Mithra had a great lip sync.
I've made my decision. Mithra, Shantae you stay. Salazzle, the body of the season and our lovely dark seductress, I'm excited to see what you achieve after this competition, but for now, I must ask you to sashay away.
The queens walk into the Untucked lounge, and Sylvester congratulates Alice for winning her second challenge. Alice smiles and thanks him before saying that she hasn't been safe before. Lemmy smirks and says that she'd love it, which makes Alice laugh. The queens then turn their attention to Mithra and congratulate her for winning the lip sync. Sylvester asks if she regrets taking Versus the World, and Mithra says no because then she wouldn't have had to give such an iconic lip sync. Xinyan agrees and says that she fully thought either one could have won the lip sync. Sylvester quickly cuts in and says it was obvious that Salazzle wasn't going to win because she was in the bottom 3 times last week, adding that now he's just waiting for Xinyan and Lemmy to march out of the workroom like the clowns they are. Xinyan rolls her eyes and Lemmy tells Sylvester to shut his crusty old mouth. He shouts that he's sick of Sylvester and his damn puppet, saying that he should stop trying to reinvent the wheel because he always ends up with a fucking square, which is not only the wrong shape, it's a fucking 2D shape, and he would realize that if he wasn't such a dumb bitch. The queens fall silent before Forrest, Mithra, and Xinyan all start laughing. Even Alice giggles a bit as Sylvester flips off Lemmy and says that Lemmy doesn't have enough talent to win, and he's honestly shocked he made it through the casting process at all. Lemmy gets in Sylvester's face and laughs at him before saying that this is real rich coming from the so-called comedy queen who was in the bottom for 2 comedy challenges and was given a top placement because the judges pitied him. Xinyan encourages Lemmy to keep clocking him, and Lemmy says he gladly will, but before he can continue, Alice asks if they can just have one peaceful Untucked. Mithra says that might be impossible, before Lemmy interrupts, saying that he's surprised Sylvester wants to talk about talent when he barely has any and most of his looks have been subpar. Sylvester screams that Lemmy is literally wearing a fucking tank top and shorts and the judges eat it up because Lemmy is clearly sleeping with production. Lemmy grabs his drink and pours it on Sylvester's head, and then he grabs Forrest's drink and dumps it on Sylvester's head as well. Lemmy finally sits down, leaving everyone speechless, and Untucked ends with everyone walking out and Forrest telling production that he'd like another cocktail.